morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and welcome once again to the Global Business Insight podcast.
Hi everyone and welcome to another episode, and today we're embarking on a deep dive into one of the most significant developments in the intersection of artificial intelligence, data economics and supply chain management.
Thank you, Max. And today's episode will focus on really groundbreaking research. So we'll be discussing the Kumar de Brabandt AI data economy model for AI data democratization and monetization. And that really is a comprehensive framework that's not just theoretical, but actively transforming how organizations approach procurement and supply chain decision-making in the age of artificial intelligence, and especially in our economic situation. So, Max, this isn't just another discussion about AI buzzwords or futuristic concepts. We'll actually be discussing and talking about a practical, implementable model, right, that organizations worldwide are using very much to revolutionize their procurement processes and create new revenue streams from their data and build more efficient supply chains. And over the next episodes, we will be exploring, I would say, these 6 critical dimensions of this model. These dimensions are, for example, generative AI, monetization, agentic AI, ethical AI, democratization, and business revenue generation. And each of these pillars represent a fundamental shift in how we think about and implement AI in procurement and supply management.
So this model's been created by Dr. Milan Kumar, who we're really pleased to have on the podcast with us. Milan's a globally recognised leader in technology and currently serves as the Global Chief Information and Digital Officer. He's a respected TEDx speaker, he's an international author and a mentor to startups, sharing his deep expertise on how technology can reshape business and society. He also holds a PhD in AI management and has been honoured as a LinkedIn top voice in AI and a contributor to the Forbes Technology Council. So we're delighted to have him on board today. Also, just to give a bit more background on Dr. Charlotte de Brabandt, but just to give some background, Charlotte is actually a leading expert in AI applications herself. And she serves on the Thought Leadership Council at the Institute for Supply Chain Management, the ISM. She's got more than 15 years of industry experience and specialises in digital transformation and innovation. So she's a highly sought after speaker, published author and a university lecturer, and regularly shares her insights on prestigious international stages. So Milan and Charlotte have just done their first book together, which is AI-driven business transformation, data economy through democratization and monetization. It's now available on Amazon to buy in audio and paperback copy download. So we'll share links for that and give more detail on it. But Charlotte, could you perhaps tell me a little bit more about the Kumar de Brabandt AI data economy model, please?
Yeah, of course. And Max, thank you again for having Milan and I attend the podcast today. And also thank you to all the listeners for joining in once again. So before we dive into our detailed exploration of the model, I just wanted to provide some just essential context about this new framework. And the Kumar de Brabandt AI data economy model, it was actually developed through extensive research over the last years and practical implementation by my friend Milan Kumar and myself, especially over the last years. We were doing a lot of academic research, also for a lot of universities and research institutions. And that's how this model really came about. 2 visionaries who then recognized that the traditional approaches to AI implementation, especially in procurement and supply chain management, they were just not enough what we had. And we had so many buzzwords swirling around and no one really knew where to start. and what we were actually missing. And it seemed that we were missing that crucial element, just the systematic integration of data economies with practical AI applications. And I sat in a procurement conference last week, and I recognized how people are just not caught up. Many professionals out there and organizations are simply 2-3 years behind. So this model emerged from a fundamental observation, I would say, from our experience. And most organizations were implementing and are implementing all these AI tools just in silos and in isolation, missing that whole enormous opportunity that arises when you view AI not just as a technological solution, but actually, I would say, as the foundation for an entirely new economic model built on data value creation and just intelligent automation. So this model, it has a very much of a holistic approach, and rather than treating generative AI or ethical considerations or democratization or monetization just as separate concerns, in the Kumar de Brabandt framework, it shows how all these elements work in synergy to create value for the organizations that exceed all the parts. And at its core, the model really recognizes that we are in the midst of a fundamental transformation where data becomes just our primary economic asset. And we hear these buzzwords, AI agents, and AI agents, they just become autonomous business partners. And the democratization of these technologies, Max, then creates new opportunities for equity and innovation in these global supply chains. So when Milan and I were creating this academic model, we realized that the 6-dimensional framework that you see, it's represented in a circular model, right? And it isn't just an academic exercise. It's actually a practical roadmap that organizations can actively use to navigate this whole complex landscape of AI implementation, while ensuring that we follow our ethical practices, maximizing monetization opportunities, and creating that whole sustainable competitive advantage. And when I speak to my fellow procurement colleagues at conferences or when I do a lot of benchmarking, I see the frustration that many use all these different AI technologies, and you have all these experts, but no one really can navigate that whole landscape. And that's what the model is there. It's to add value for the organizations. It's to help our practitioners navigate. And what makes this model particularly relevant for procurement and supply chain professionals is its focus on practical implementations. And that's what I really liked. Each chapter talks about a practical example, practical implementations, how it can be applied. And each dimension, which Milan will dive into afterwards, it actually includes these specific methodologies and tools and frameworks that organizations can then adopt immediately, regardless of their current AI maturity level at their organization. So I know I dragged on for a long time, Max, but I hope this answers your question a little bit.
It really does. Fantastic. And I know the sharp listeners within our audience will obviously see that we've not done a podcast. The last series was about 6 months ago, but you guys certainly have not been not doing anything. It's amazing to see the hard work and just the level of complex thinking and understanding that you guys have put into this. It needed a model to explain really the different ways that AI was going, and it needed people at your level to really develop this. We'll obviously be flashing up visuals of this while we're talking so that our listeners can see exactly how this works and how this model is laid out. But let's go a bit deeper. So Milan, could you explain about the 6 dimensions of the model and a bit more about how that works, please?
Exactly. Thanks, Max. When we talk about the Kumar de Brabandt AI data economy model, so again, it's a very holistic model. When I say holistic model, why? Because it considers all the building scaling, and monetizing the AI responsibly. So this also means that when we talk about this holistic model, it is integrating the autonomous intelligence, it's integrating the generative innovation, it includes the adoption and the sustainable revenue into a very cohesive ecosystem. So again, based on the different study that I carry out in my role in any organization, I in the past I did share about how we can democratize the data and probably one of the key areas how we can monetize the data. So now in this particular model, which is a very holistic model, if you see the overall framework, the center of the the whole framework revolves around ethical AI. So whatever we do, we need to ensure that ethics part of the AI is considered. So this is definitely the guiding principle, and that needs to ensure that every action that we do around the AI and the data is transparent, responsible, and aligned with societal and organizational value. So that's how you see in the middle about the ethical AI. Then, if you see the outer blue ring, it covers the four strategic quadrants. So these four strategic quadrants of this particular model is also an interlocking dimension, and each dimension is powered by its own framework. So the first, when we talk about the agentic AI, so it is powered by a 4E framework. So when I talk about the 4E framework, the focus is in and around evolving the AI agents that act autonomously as well as intelligently. And the key pillars behind are experimental, what we are doing in terms of embodied, evolving, and how efficient it is. So these are the key pillars in and around the agentic AI and the 4E framework within that. And the outcome, what we can expect is AI that learns continuously and operates proactively. Then moving forward, when I talk about the second dimension of the outer ring, which is generative AI, and here what we have done is this particular framework, what we call 4G framework. So in the generative AI, the focus is around the content and the knowledge creation at scale. And the key pillars: governance, generalization, guidance, and generation. And the outcome that we can expect is a responsible generative capability with strong governance, which is needed in any of the organization to scale AI. Then the third very important one is all about the monetization. And monetization, which brings also an opportunity for an organization to not only look data and AI just as a necessity, but also to create a new value within the organization, or we can say also a new revenue stream. So this monetization is based on the 4M framework, and the focus for monetization is to ensure we turn the AI and the data into a key measurable business value. Because if you are not able to measure, then definitely there is no value which you can generate out of the business. And the key pillars includes or the revolves around monetizable data, the monetization strategy, the monetization model, as well as measurement and metrics. And as I ensured that in this framework, measurement and metrics is one of the very key fundamental pillars that we need to ensure when we talk about the monetization. And the clear outcome from this framework is a clear pathway from data to revenue, and finally talking about the return on investment. Then the fourth in this dimension is democratization, so which is the 4C framework. And here in the democratization, the focus is to widespread, equitable AI adoption within any of the organization. And when we talk about the AI adoption within an organization, the key pillars remains as a culture, capabilities, collaboration, and access to different platforms, and finally the change management which is needed to drive the democratization. Then the outcome, what we can expect from this democratization 4C framework is all about an inclusive innovation where AI benefits are broadly shared. Then you will also see the base ring. In the blue ring is what we have put it as business and revenue layer. So business and revenue layer is supporting the four quadrants and what we call it as L2SP framework. And this provides a concrete route to the sustainable income. And this also guides us that what could be the framework, how we can monetize it. So definitely we can monetize as a part of licensing our product. We can monetize as a part of the providing the subscription of our product, then the product development itself. And finally, we can also do the process innovation. This could lead us to the revenue generation. So this particular layer ensures that AI or the data innovation is translate into repeatable and scalable revenue model. So ultimately, if I have to summarize, the essence of this particular model is the first, ethical AI is the core. So that's how it's in the middle. And here we talk about the governance and fairness guide on every layer. Then the four strategic framework. So 4E, 4G, 4M, 4C, which drives the technological, cultural, as well as the commercial maturity. And then the L2SP revenue strategy, which helps us to turn AI data asset into enduring economic values.
Fantastic, Milan. Thanks so much for going through that with us in such detail. I think with the visuals that we're going to be flashing up on screen, plus the more information we'll put out alongside this podcast, that will hopefully give our listeners a really good in-depth understanding of the model and just why they need to understand how AI is developing. We'll be doing more sessions with you, Milan, and looking forward to getting into a lot more depth and detail on this subject as we develop it. But fantastic, and thanks for your input on this first episode for our new series. Thank you very much. Charlotte, have you got anything else for us?
Absolutely, Milan. That was very helpful to go into the deep dive, especially for our listeners, and to gear them up what is to come over the next weeks. But Max, it was a great start. Brilliant to be back with you on this podcast series, and I look forward to some nice other episodes which we'll be doing together.